The series Lucifer from Netflix is about the devil abandoning hell and partying in LA, then late falling in love and seeking redemption from God and his angel siblings. Lucifer became hell's therapist to help damned souls escape their guilt and go to heaven. Season 1 begins with Lucifer forcing a police officer to accept a bribe after he was caught speeding. At Lucifer's bar, Amanadel, who is Lucifer's elder brother, arrives and advises Lucifer to return back to hell. A lady that Lucifer had helped to build her musical career gets shot in his presence. As a result of this incident, the police, along with Detective Chloe Decker, visits the scene for inspection. It is at this scene that Lucifer and Chloe get to meet for the first time. While trying to arrest the killer, Chloe gets shot and is saved by Lucifer. Lucifer goes to see a psychotherapist, Dr. Linda Martin, and after his session with her, he pays her with sex. Intrigued by Lucifer's odd records, Chloe starts investigating him. Lucifer tries to charm on Chloe, but is shocked to learn that Chloe is immune to them. In search for answers, he assists Chloe in a crime scene that she has been assigned to. Once again, Amanadel, Lucifer's older brother, shows up in Lucifer's room and encourages him to return back in his place in hell. Meanwhile, Lucifer continues his relationship with Dr. Martin by going to see her sessions and paying her with sex. Elsewhere, Lucifer helps a famous football player, Ty, to get laid using his powers. However, things go sour when the footballer wakes up to find the lady dead. He informs Lucifer about the development, who in turn calls Chloe. All the facts clearly showed that the footballer Ty was responsible for the murder, so Chloe arrests him against Lucifer's pleas. At the same time, someone was impersonating Lucifer and destroying his image in the process. With the help of Lucifer, Chloe and her ex-husband Dan are able to solve the case. They prove that Ty's manager was responsible for the murder. Next, Chloe's ex-husband Dan shares a new case with her. Lindsay Jolson went missing after attending an event hosted by Carver Cruz. Dan wanted Chloe to work together to solve the case, as it would help them get the truth out faster. Meanwhile, Lucifer informs Chloe that the only reason why he was working with her was to get in her pants. Chloe swore that she would never have sex with him. Back at Lucifer's place, his brother, Amanadel, visits Maze to try to get more information on Lucifer, but Maze refused to give him any. Once again, Lucifer uses his powers to uncover the controversy surrounding the case. At a fashion show organized by Benny Choi, a girl gets shot. The murder case is assigned to Chloe and Dan. Lucifer pays a visit to Chloe's boss, Olivia, at the office and strikes a deal with her. Lucifer promised to help her get to her heart's desire of becoming the first female chief of police if she would allow him to assist in police matters. Olivia agreed and made Lucifer a liaison on the current case. After a series of twists and turns, Benny Choi and his assistant are discovered to be the persons behind the shootings at the show. They are subsequently arrested. Lucifer also informs Chloe that he's an official civilian consultant for the LAPD. Lucifer's container gets stolen at the scene of the crime. He now has to work with Chloe to uncover a lead on the case. Lucifer refuses to disclose the actual contents of the container to Chloe, despite all her questions. Due to the eagerness to get the information, Amanadel goes to see Lucifer's therapist, Dr. Linda. All the attempts by Amanadel to get information from Dr. Linda fails. After recovering the container, Lucifer finds out that some of the secret contents are missing. Lucifer's wings are missing, and not knowing what else to do, he meets up with Amanadel. Sadly, Amanadel refuses to help Lucifer. On the other hand, Chloe agrees to assist him. At the end of the day, Lucifer is furious when he learns that the issue of the missing wings was planned by Amanadel to get him back to hell. Lucifer burns his wings in Amanadel's presence and informs him that he was never going back. Next, a certain therapist, Dr. Bernie Shaw, had recently been killed inside his office. Lucifer praised Bernie for his work, as Chloe assured Bernie's wife that they would find out who killed him. After interrogating a lead, Dr. Bernie's wife instantly becomes a suspect in her husband's death. It later turned out that Dr. Bernie was having an affair with one of his patients. However, she was not the one that killed him. A different therapist, Dr. Medina, who had a crush on Dr. Burney's wife for a long time, found out about the affair and killed Dr. Burney. Lucifer returned to his nightclub and confronted Maze. He knew that Maze had betrayed him. She tried to defend herself, but Lucifer didn't want to hear it. He ended their relationship and left. Lucifer gets a surprise visit from a priest who had come to seek his help to save a young boy. Lucifer declines as he did not want to work together with anyone that served his father. The next day, Lucifer invited Chloe to investigate as to why the priest came to him. They visited Lenny Arrieta, only to find him dead inside his office. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Amenadel had resurrected a cop, Malcolm, for his dirty plan. The events that later took place prove that the counselor of the youth center, Eric Doyle, was responsible for the murder of the young boy. Malcolm reveals to Dan that he had been to hell and the only way he was going to stay alive was by killing Lucifer. Malcolm told Dan that he was going to frame him for Lucifer's murder, and everyone was going to believe it because he was the jealous ex-husband. At the end of the season, Lucifer takes care of the whole Malcolm issue, but something worse happens. Lucifer is informed by God that their mother had escaped from hell. Lucifer seeks for Chloe's help in tracking down his mother. Not too long after, Lucifer's mother arrived at his penthouse. Contrary to what Lucifer thought, his mother claimed that she wanted to reconnect and become a better mother. Lucifer found this hard to believe and was certain that she had killed some people at the hotel. Since he did not have any proof against his mother, he leaves her at the care of Maze. Lucifer's mother and Maze got into an argument, and Maze had mistakenly told her that Lucifer had signed a deal with God to bring his mother back to hell. After hearing this, Lucifer's mother headbutted her and escaped. Lucifer is reunited with his mother while solving a case. Back at Lucifer's penthouse, Lux, his mother, revealed that she was the one that cast him out of heaven. She explained that after his rebellion, God had wanted to destroy him. She begged God to cast him to hell instead. She had done it because she loved him. Lucifer informed his mother that she could stay with him for now. On the other hand, Chloe and Lucifer had a new case on their hands. It was the case of a serial killer. Back to Family Matters, Amenadel got to meet with their mother, and Lucifer punished her by declaring that she would stay on Earth as a human being. Next, Chloe and Lucifer went to a crime scene while they discussed her decision to move out of her mother's house. Elsewhere, Lucifer's mother is finding it hard to adjust to living in Charlotte's life. Chloe successfully moved out of her mother's house and agreed that Maze could be her roommate. It is revealed that Lucifer had earlier made a deal with God to save Chloe's life, and it had to do with returning his mother to hell. Amenadel arrives and urges Lucifer to fulfill his promise to God by bringing her mother back to hell. Chloe gets into a car accident, and Lucifer attributed it to her staying with Maze. Chloe and Lucifer arrive at their next case, which was about the death of a washed-up movie star, Wesley Cabot. At the crime scene, Lucifer recognized his brother Uriel, who had come to seek his end of the deal. It was either Lucifer brought back his mother, or he would lose Chloe. Amenadel approached Uriel, but since he had lost his powers, Uriel beat him to a pulp. Lucifer met with Uriel, and they both got into a fight, ending with the death of Uriel. Lucifer grieved the death of Uriel by drinking, while Amenadel blamed himself for the death of Uriel. Chloe's daughter Trixie and Maze went trick-or-treating together. Chloe advised Lucifer to see his therapist before things get out of control. Lucifer heeded to Chloe's advice and goes see Dr. Linda. When Dr. Linda demanded the truth, Lucifer reveals his true self. Next, the man who murdered Chloe's father, Joe Fields, is granted leave from prison to visit his family. Chloe argued with the warden that it was a wrong move, but they wouldn't listen. So she decides to follow the armored truck that was bringing him to Los Angeles, only for her to discover that Joe Fields had been killed inside the truck. Since Chloe was the first on the scene, Dan takes her in for questioning. Chloe is removed from the case and goes home to spend time with her daughter, Trixie. Joe's daughter, Tina Fields, pays Chloe a visit at home and shows her a clip where her father confessed that he was innocent. Meanwhile, the killer of Joe Fields was arrested by Dan and Lucifer. Chloe is shocked to learn that Joe Fields was not the one that killed her father. All the facts that they got pointed to the warden, who was the one behind all of the crime. Lucifer took Amadadel and Maze out to the forest where they had buried Uriel. They arrived at the burial site. However, someone had already dug it up. Lucifer told them that Uriel's body was there, but Azrael's blade wasn't. It seemed to have fallen into human hands. Lucifer told Amadadel and Maze that the blade might find its way back to them, and if it fell into the wrong hands, they could also get killed without them knowing it. He ordered Amadadel and Maze to move Uriel's body so it wouldn't get discovered. A forensics expert from the police department, Ella, helped Lucifer to analyze the site, and they both kept it a secret from Chloe. After a couple of murders, Lucifer is able to retrieve the blade from Dan at the scene of the crime. Then, Lucifer's mother arrives at his house and sees the blade with him. She informs Lucifer and Amadadel that she wants to return back to heaven and reunite the family. Amadadel indicates his interest to go back, but Lucifer refuses, claiming that Los Angeles was his home. Lucifer's mother, Goddess, tried different measures to convince Lucifer to leave Earth. She pushed her client to pursue Lucifer from this penthouse. Goddess also attempted to kill Chloe, but was stopped by Amadadel. While the trial for the killer of Chloe's dad was on, Amadadel met Chloe's mom for the first time, and it all came together. He hurried back to Goddess to tell her what he had discovered. He told Goddess that 35 years ago, God told him to visit Earth and bless a marriage. Amadadel went to Earth to bless the couple, and they conceived a baby named Chloe. Goddess told Amadadel that Chloe was not a hindrance to their plan, but she was the way to get back his powers. The following day, Maze showed Chloe a newspaper that carried the headline that her father's murderer, Perry, had been killed. For the first time, Chloe kisses Lucifer after they had solved the case. The scene cuts to reveal another case, and while Chloe, Dan, and Lucifer were busy trying to solve the issue, Goddess approached Maze. Goddess explained that Chloe was divine, and God had placed her in Lucifer's path here on Earth. Maze didn't want to believe her, so Goddess offered her to show proof. Goddess also went ahead to tell Lucifer about who Chloe was to him, and as expected, it made him furious. Lucifer disappears for 2 weeks and returns back to LA with a wife, Candy. Chloe told Lucifer that she did not need him any longer. She added that their partnership had ended when he left without a word 2 weeks ago. Lucifer left the precinct with Candy as Chloe went back to her case. It later turned out that Candy was only pretending to be Lucifer's wife to find out what Goddess was planning. She advised Lucifer to not ruin the relationship with Chloe. Lucifer, Amadadel, and Goddess devised a plan to return back to heaven. However, things didn't go as planned, so Lucifer sent Goddess to a world without humans. Meanwhile, Lucifer's wings had grown out and he wasn't happy about it. He tries cutting them off, but they just grow back. Chloe's precinct gets a new boss in the form of Lieutenant Marcus Pierce. At the same time, Lucifer finds out that the mysterious Sinnerman may be a bit too interested in his comings and goings. Lucifer gets back in the favor-granting business, since that's what the Sinnerman is tracking in as well. He also cuts off his wings again. Linda and Amadadel bond while disposing of the feathery remains. Throughout the first 4 episodes, Maze heads to Canada to chase a dangerous bounty. What starts out murderous becomes amorous when she realizes she was framed. Amadadel plays the good brother and reminds Lucifer that he's not evil. He punishes evil. After Lucifer's mother vacated her body in Season 2's finale, the real Charlotte Richards returns to Earth and struggles to adjust to her new life and her memories of her time in hell, with Lucifer providing an assist. Lucifer heads to Vegas to help his one-time wife Candy, leading Chloe to trash his apartment during a jealous drunken spree. We learn that Ella's a card counter who has been banned from casinos. Chloe channels her inner Lucifer on a case. Charlotte tries to become a better person to avoid returning to hell. We meet the Sinnerman. Linda and Amadadel kiss. Maze gets jealous. The Sinnerman gouges out his own freaking eyes so Lucifer can't compel him to talk. It's upsetting. The Cinnamon storyline wraps up with more of a whimper than a bang, but we do learn that the mysterious Pierce is actually Cain, the world's first murderer, doomed to walk the earth forever. Lucifer tries to get back in Chloe's good graces after he stepped out of line during the Cinnamon investigation, but he doesn't quite know how. Amanadel and Linda try to stay away from each other for Maze's sake. Pierce tries to leave town, but Lucifer gets him to stay by promising to find a way for the immortal to die. Pierce and Lucifer go undercover as a married couple to catch the suburban killer. Dan and Charlotte go on a date. Amanadel refuses to help Lucifer remove the mark of Cain so Pierce can die. Ella finds out her beloved older brother is involved in a diamond-based crime. Amanadel and Pierce fight. Charlotte starts therapy with Linda. Maze blows up her friendship with Linda over the Amanadel situation. Lucifer gives Chloe the cold shoulder in an attempt to keep her out of danger. Chloe and Pierce go on a date despite any tangible signs of chemistry. Amanadel fills Charlotte in on what happened to her body while she was in hell. Maze calls Trixie a brat and crushes her little heart. Chloe takes off Lucifer's necklace to prove her commitment to the Pierce relationship. However, for Pierce, the relationship was a ruse to get Chloe to fall in love with him, making him vulnerable to death. In the end, he can't bring himself to break her heart. Thanks to Linda, Lucifer admits he wants Chloe to choose him over Pierce, but he ends up watching her accept Pierce's marriage proposal instead. Despite an amazing, hilarious bachelorette party with a Malibu State water polo team, Chloe calls off the wedding. However, Dan and Charlotte are still together, and better than ever. Lucifer and Chloe finally kiss. Charlotte takes a bullet meant for Amanadel. His wings return, allowing him to fly her to heaven. Dan is broken by Charlotte's death. Linda and Maze make up, and in a killer scene, Maze realizes that human emotions make her strong. Lucifer unfurls his wings to protect Chloe from a hail of bullets. The visual is stunning. Lucifer finally kills Pierce, aka Cain, and Chloe sees his real face and accepts that everything he has ever told her was real. Seeing that Lucifer had been telling her the truth all along, Chloe leaves town with Trixie for a European vacation. She arrives back in LA and blames herself for not believing Lucifer all this time. Chloe affirms that she would love for things to return back to normal. On the other hand, Dan is still mourning the death of Charlotte. The events that followed showed that Chloe was far from okay. She recoiled every time Lucifer touched her. Elsewhere, Maze mends her relationship with Trixie, and Amanadel assures Dan that Charlotte is in heaven. Next, Chloe does the most unexpected thing by accepting the offer of a priest to send Lucifer back to hell. The relationship between our favorite couple also goes to a higher level when Lucifer and Chloe agree to go on a date. This happens as they're investigating the murder of a reality show contestant. Chloe later withdraws from the plan to send Lucifer away from Earth. Linda also discovers that she was pregnant for Amanadel. Just when the relationship between Chloe and Lucifer was about to blossom, it hits the rocks again. Next, a heartbroken Lucifer encounters his past lover, Eve. Chloe also gets a new partner and tries hard to cope. Maze learns about how Chloe had plotted to send Lucifer back to hell and pack out their apartment. Maze moves in with Linda and helps her in preparing for the baby. Lucifer and Eve seem to be getting along very well. Chloe wasn't too happy about this because she now wanted to be with Lucifer. Chloe and Lucifer put an end to their partnership. Back at the penthouse, Lucifer refers to himself as Eve's boyfriend. He explains that he's only vulnerable around Chloe, and Eve, who's no dummy, doesn't like that at all. After several months, Lucifer and Eve continue to live a blissful union. He's also resumed his police work with Chloe. Chloe has a tough time hiding her jealousy. To help reduce the domestic tension in Lucifer's life, he decides to send a gift to both Chloe and Eve. However, this only worsened the case because they both received the wrong gifts. Eve receives the copy machine that spits out an apology to Chloe, and Chloe receives a sex doll at the precinct. Meanwhile, Eve's carrying baggage over the fact that she could never live up to Adam's first wife, Lilith, while Maze is carrying baggage over the fact that Lilith was her mother, and a terrible one at that. Elsewhere, Amanadel spots another member of the Celestial family, his spear-wielding little sister, Remiel. who is on the hunt for the forbidden half-human, half-angel offspring that she assumes is the product of Lucifer's wayward living. After discussing with Amadadel for some time, Remiel learns that Amadadel is the father of the forbidden child. The scene cuts to reveal Chloe and Ella discussing about Lucifer's struggles. After hearing this, Trixie pays Lucifer a visit on her own. Chloe and Dan, having realized their daughter is with Lucifer and in danger from a criminal in their current case, shows up to make arrests. Once everything is calm again, Chloe reminds Lucifer about his dual devil-angel nature. Chloe urges him to check on his wings. On the other hand, Linda is tired of Maze's overprotective attitude. Then, Chloe visits Father Kinley in jail after screening his collect calls for too long. She defends Lucifer as good, an angel, but Kinley mentions the prophecy that Lucifer finding his love will release evil on Earth. After Chloe's shocked expression, Kinley realizes that it's not her, but she knows who is. Is she here, he asks. The following day, Chloe informs Lucifer about Father Kinley's prophecy. Lucifer agrees to break up with Eve. Sadly, Eve refuses to accept the breakup. Amadadel saves a kid that was being forced to sell drugs and pay up his bills. He also enlists Chloe to help prove that the kid was innocent from the murder charges. While everyone thought that the boy was safe, they were informed a few days later that the boy had been shot. The predators of the crime were none other than those selling the drugs. Following their breakup, Eve is a sobbing mess. Maze decides to work with Eve to get back Lucifer. That's how Eve becomes an apprentice bounty hunter. And then the two women roll up on Maze's motorcycle at the newest crime scene, looking hot as hell. So she and Maze work the case and track down the suspect's accountant. There, Eve tortures Maze by practicing sexy poses for Lucifer. Maze, who had already fallen in love with Eve, suggests that they should date. Eve assumes it's for Lucifer jealousy purposes. They kiss as Lucifer and Chloe arrive, but it's only real for one of them. Maze helps Eve to kidnap Father Kinley while trying to stop the prophecy from coming to pass. Father Kinley attacks Eve, but she kills him and orders him to send a message to hell. Linda gives birth to a child, and Amadadel suggests that they should name him Charlie. Next, Charlie goes missing, and there are a couple of demons roaming the earth. Eve also shows up to confess she has created this whole mess, concluding with, "It seemed like a good idea at the time." A combat ensues with the demons to save baby Charlie. At the end of the day, baby Charlie is saved, and the devil orders the demons to return back to hell. At the same time, Eve kisses Maze and bids her farewell, stating that she needs to discover herself. Then we come to Chloe confessing her love to Lucifer and begging him not to return to hell. Lucifer kisses her and wings his way to hell, where the last shot of Lucifer is sitting on the throne in human form, all alone. Maze is working crime scenes and hitting bars with Chloe, but she was so devastated by Eve's departure that she can barely bring herself to speak her name. Linda and Amadadel are busy trying to give Charlie the best kind of life. Dan is also doing an excellent job in coping with Charlotte's death. While investigating another murder case, Chloe gets into trouble, and guess who gets alerted of this danger? It's none other than Lucifer in hell. Lucifer enters the scene in time to save the love of his life, and the pair celebrates their union with a kiss. And then we cut to Lucifer in hell, declining to help Chloe during the shootout because she'll be fine without him. So, if that's not Lucifer, then who's hugging Chloe? It appears that we are not the only ones worried about the identity of the new Lucifer. Chloe is bothered by it too. For one thing, Lucifer is telling lies now, and he's asking people what they fear instead of what they desire. There's nothing impulsive, inappropriate, or sinful, and it's freaking her out. Maze gets answers a little quicker than Chloe does when she attacks the person she thinks is Lucifer in his penthouse, enraged that he went back to hell without her. Michael reveals that he was the one. He tells Maze that he was the one on Earth to assume his brother's identity and wreck his life. Maze warns him that the humans are smart, especially Chloe, but Michael has diabolical plans to break her heart. Maze reluctantly agrees to his plans since she too would like the chance to get some Lucifer revenge. Next, Michael is determined to sip right into Lucifer's life and into her bed. Michael goes ahead with his plan by telling Chloe that he loves her, but she has a different idea and shoots him to prove he's not the devil she knows. She knew something was off from the first kiss, and seeing him with Maze clinched that he wasn't the man she loves. She swears that she'll never lose faith in Lucifer. Then, Michael tells one actual truth. Chloe is a gift, made explicitly for Lucifer by God himself. She claims not to believe him, but is clearly shaken. We get the reunion we've been waiting for when Lucifer returns to Earth, and it takes less than 30 seconds to convince Chloe that he's really back. Meanwhile, Lucifer also confirms that what Michael said was true. He's known for a year that Chloe was a gift from God, created for him. Lucifer assures her that it doesn't change how much he loves her, but Chloe's world is rocked. If Lucifer's the only reason she's on Earth, where is her free will? Is her whole life a lie? Trixie pays Lucifer a visit at Lux, and instead of them playing Monopoly, Lucifer decides to tell her any story that she wants to hear. Trixie asks for a story on Lucifer's ring. He obliges and tells her a captivating story on how the ring came about. Surprisingly, the story involves Maze's mother, Lilith. Trixie thanks Lucifer for the story, but once she's on the elevator, she's greeted by Maze, who hands her a wad of cash and asks her to hear the story she just extracted. The information from the story led Maze to where the aged Lilith is. When Maze asks why Lilith abandoned her children, she says she wanted to make her children strong, and it worked. I can see you don't need anyone. Maze, who is not impressed by her mother's reply, meets up with Linda. Linda defends Lilith by revealing to Maze that she had done something similar years back. She gave up a baby when she was 17 by simply slipping out of the hospital when she realized she couldn't raise her daughter. Chloe gets assigned a murder case which had a nun as its victim. As the investigation continues, Amanadel figures out that he could reflect people's faith back to them. The implication of this was that Lucifer had the ability to reflect the greatest desires of people. Chloe says she's never seen her desire in Lucifer, which means that she isn't the gift. The gift is that she's the one mortal who sees Lucifer for who he truly is. By that logic, everything they shared is real. She heads straight to the penthouse to tell Lucifer and offer Amanadel's second revelation. Lucifer chooses to be vulnerable around her. She sits next to him on the piano bench and declares that if so, she chooses to be vulnerable around him too. They kiss, and it's tentative and lovely, and then it's deeper and passionate, and the camera lifts up to show their embrace reflected in the ceiling. Meanwhile, Ella encounters a new reporter, Pete, and turns down the offer to date him. Lucifer helps Amanadel to appease a crying Charlie. Chloe and Lucifer also reconcile their differences and finally have sex. During the morning after sex talk, it is revealed that Lucifer's power had transferred to Chloe, but sadly, the powers only worked on him. Elsewhere, Dan is deeply shaken at Lucifer's devil face the night before and falls sobbing at Charlotte's grave as he processes what it all means. He assumes that she's in heaven. He's bound for hell, and Chloe and Trixie's souls are in danger. As he begs for help, Michael appears with his wings out and white robes on, offers Dan redemption in exchange for one little errand. It later turned out that the little errand was for Dan to shoot Lucifer. Thankfully, Lucifer shakes off Dan's bullet without a hitch because he's suddenly invulnerable around Chloe. Ella also finds out that Pete is not who he was pretending to be. The guy is a psychopath that enjoys killing ladies. Then, Michael had kidnapped Chloe and kept her in a cave. He also sniffs out her fear of Lucifer's newfound invulnerability and asks if Lucifer ever said "I love you" back to her. He scores a direct hit for that for sure. Meanwhile, Maze finds Dan, who confirms that Michael put him up to shooting Lucifer and took him to a weird cave jail for a chat. His description leads them to an abandoned zoo, where Lucifer, Maze, and Dan rescue Chloe. When she kisses Lucifer, even Dan can see how much he cares for her. Meanwhile, Maze burns with fury that Lucifer is with his soulmate. That's her frame of mind when Michael approaches her and tells her he's the only one who's been honest with her. At the precinct, Chloe thanks her coworker for never giving up on finding her. At this point, Amanadel and Linda show up to talk with Lucifer about Charlie, but he blows them off to get Chloe alone. She congratulates him for catching a serial killer, and he brags that he has his mojo back. But that just adds to her fear that he's subconsciously pushing her away and choosing not to be vulnerable. Lucifer blames her fear on Michael's influence, but she wants to know why he hasn't told her he loves her. It's complicated, he says. He calls her Chloe and starts to say, I love, when suddenly time freezes. Looks like Lucifer's not the only one with his mojo back. Amenadel stopped time to prove the fear of Michael stoked in him. Charlie's frozen along with the rest of the mortals, which means he'll get sick, grow old, and die. Suddenly, Michael's at the precinct too, and Amenadel ends up with a literal devil on his shoulder and a literal angel on the other, one stoking his fears for his son and the other advocating calm. Then, Maze arrives to stand with Michael, who promised her a soul. She kicks Lucifer through a glass wall, and the shattered glass freezes too. It's a very cool special effect. From there, the epic brawl is on. Maze confronts Lucifer with the truth about her mother and wants to know why his promise to keep Lilith's secret was so important than his relationship with her. Meanwhile, Amenadel accuses Michael of purposefully giving Charlie a cold. For real, what a monster. The fight is vicious and rages through the precinct, and just as all three angels unfurl their wings and really prepare for a battle, a voice booms. That's enough. It's God. He appears in a haze of bright light, supporting a salt and pepper beard, and says calmly, "Children, I hate it when you fight." Lucifer Season 5 Part 2 starts off with God on Earth. Just when his three sons, Lucifer, Amenadel, and Michael, are about to butcher each other, he comes down to tell everyone to get along. Of course, Lucifer is against the idea, but Michael, trying to please his father, is more accepting. Chloe and Lucifer's relationship too is better here. We finally have a somewhat mature relationship between the two that we have been wanting to see for the past 4 to 5 seasons, and I'm glad that the ship has finally sailed. Now, if you thought your family dinner time was uncomfortable, then you should really dig into the first episode. If Lucifer Season 5 Part 2 is great at something, it's giving us some really great drama. And good God, do we see some drama in the episode titled Family Dinner. Not only does Lucifer bring out some uncomfortable truths to the table, but he asks his father a specific question, which the latter again answers cryptically. Lucifer Season 5 Part 2 second episode, titled Bloody Celestial Karaoke Jam, has the entire gang breaking into dance. It is hilarious to see Lucifer and the gang dance and sing their hearts out throughout the episode at the most inopportune moments. Additionally, there's a scene where God meets Dan and it turns into another funny scene. Additionally funny is God doing regular human things. On the other hand, Lucifer finally gets things sorted with God. I love how things started in the series and then how it ends later on. Episode 15 and 16 features a war to be God and the tragic death of someone close. Michael's character also made more sense in Part 2 of Season 5. The first scene of the final season of Lucifer starts as a throwback to the very first scene of the first episode of the very first season, with Lucifer being stopped by a policeman for speeding. To add on to the nostalgia, while subtly trying to introduce Lucifer's dilemma, we see that it is the same policeman as the very first scene too. Lucifer discovers that him bringing out the policeman's deep desires did more harm than good doesn't help this case. His case being that he isn't all that willing to step up and be God, quite literally, even if it's something he fought for in the previous season. He realizes that being God would mean that he needs to love every living being equally and selflessly. Starting to feel like he doesn't fit that job description, he tries various ways to change that, with some advice from Chloe and some unusual, misinterpreted counseling from Dr. Linda Martin. Unbeknownst to him, there's a red-winged angel who plans to approach him with not-so-kind intentions. Chloe is concerned about Lucifer's hesitation to be God, but decides to allow him to sort out his emotions and even helps him whenever she can. She is constantly looking for mysteries to solve after having left the LAPD to help Lucifer handle his godly duties. Meanwhile, Linda Martin starts to become disinterested in counseling humans after being involved with the Celestials for so long, and tries to look for new ways to satisfy herself professionally. One of those ways was writing a book on her sessions with Lucifer. Amenadel completes his training and becomes a police officer. He gets a first-hand experience of color discrimination and corruption pretty early into the job. He also tries to convince Lucifer to take the throne in heaven. Quite the irony, considering he started out convincing Lucifer to take the throne in hell. Ella is hesitant to get into a relationship with Carol, the detective that Dan tried to set her up with, because of her experience with Pete. She is also suspicious about Lucifer and the whole celestial situation. Moreover, she is certain that there is no God in heaven and that the world is ending, and starts to collect evidence that might suggest so. Back in hell, Dan tries to figure out what guilt stands between him and heaven. Meanwhile, Eve and Maze start to make new developments in their relationship. What transpires as these characters go about handling and sometimes mishandling their issues and concerns is what forms the premise of the final season of Lucifer. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.